David, I want to go back to the postdoc situation because I'm going to be interviewing over the next 26 weeks, every other week, one of your leading scientists, and you have terrific people.
You're going to have fun.
I'm expecting to, frankly. Okay, I'll come back if you don't deliver.
Right.
I'll come back to you.
Okay.
But I expect you won't have any problems there. But I've noticed in reading and preparing for this that it's as you described. They go through the system here in Israel or right through Hebrew University. They're brilliant students, get their PhDs, then they go abroad for postdocs.
Right.
Very different than the pattern in North America, where they jump around from institute to institute, and every institute has postdocs from all over the world. Here it's different because you send them abroad, they go abroad for 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, come back, the best of the best, and then you have them here. One of the things I look at it, and I look at your labs and look at who's in your labs, you don't have a lot of postdocs here. And I assume that's a matter of what, money?
Two things. One is money. Two is the country. I mean, it's very difficult. I mean, if you are a student in the United States, you're just finishing your PhD, and you have to choose in which country to live for 2 years, Israel is not the first place that you would think on. I mean, it's a language. I mean, in the lab, obviously, all the work is being done in English. The seminars and so on, that's English, but in the street it's mainly Hebrew. Unless he will be a Jew that really wants to spend some time in Israel, he probably wouldn't choose to go to Israel with all the tension, with everything that he may hear on. You know, he will be reluctant to come.
But you and
the
I
other thing, no, wait a minute.
Okay,
The other thing is, as you pointed out, is money. To offer a good postdoctoral position, you need probably 3 times as much fund as to employ to give a stipend to a PhD student. So it's also a question of funds from the lab. I believe that if we would have available funds, which we don't for this purpose, we could initiate a program for postdoctoral studies. We do have one, by the way. It's not that we don't have postdoctoral. I had in my lab a student from Nigeria and one from Germany. So it does happen, and other people did as well. But it is rare, as you said. That's true.
I can see the image because people think of Israel as having all these problems because of what's in the news. But if you're here, you know,
that's right.
You don't even notice it.
Right. Well, it's much safer than the United States, for sure.
But the dynamism here and the creativity and the intellectual excitement is very attractive to any academic. And I think not just Jewish academics. And so I think it's also a matter of reaching out with money, and I think it's important that people give money for a global attraction to the best scholars in the world to be postdocs here, because you have a lot to give. And so my own advice, but that's a separate.
I agree.
It's not, I should be interviewing you instead of preaching. In any case, one of the dynamics of complex institutions, which is the same as the complexity of the body, is you have anarchism. People don't want to go to these larger systems and contribute because they want to just do their job and they resent it. How do you handle the politics? Since you're not trained in politics, you come as a scientist, but there's inevitably political problems in I mean, it's not just Hebrew University, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
How do you handle it here?
Well, you have to convince people that it's worth it. In order for someone to contribute to the system, he has to understand and he has to realize, he has to be shown that it's worth it. And eventually he will see it. I mean, when he will try and when he will start and get experience with it, he will see that it was worth it. But you have to initiate it. So for example, if I go back to the hubs that we are creating, I just take funds from the institute and I give it to a hub. I give it to this group of people and I say to them, you know what? Let's start artificially. You know, I will pay for your retreat. I'll give you 1 day retreat, go somewhere outside of the building, outside of your routine work, sit together and talk science. And I'll fund it, okay? Which is not a lot of money. And they said, well, why not? Let's try it. So they do that. And after that, they come back and said, hey, it was great. I've learned what my neighbor is doing. I didn't know that he's doing this and that, and he's using this and that machinery or this and that reagents or whatever, and I can use it. So he suddenly sees that working together is beneficial. It's very trivial, but I am trying, and we are pushing it very hard now, to initiate people getting together, working together. It usually starts by, you know, people are very skeptical about it. Okay, let's do it, you're pushing them. Eventually, again, I'm talking after 1 year of experience with this hub, it looks very good. Well, not all of them. We have established 12 hubs. Not all of them were great success, and probably I'm going to you know, disintegrate few, but most of them, it seems really good.
Let me add another dimension, because the complexity gets more and more, because you need lots more money for complex research, lots more money for complex organizations. That means you have to spend a lot of your time, and each scientist has to spend time with people that aren't fellow scientists. So we're going to line up interviews with your other scientists. They're going to interview. They're spending time on that. That wasn't something they once had to do. You have to spend, I assume, quite a bit of time meeting the general community and teaching them the importance of this fundamental science to make it relevant. The innovations you're doing are relevant to them, to their cancer, to their prostrate, to their broken spines, or whatever else it is. That's a lot of time. How do you get that willingness of the people to do that?
Well, you see, you are going to interview I don't know how many people. I don't think we had one. We have to ask the secretaries, but I don't think we had one example that we gave a phone. We called someone, one of our members, and we'll tell them, hey, Howard is coming. We want you to spend some time with him. No one said no. We don't have them. We are aware to the fact that in order to do our science, we have to go explain our science to the public, tell them how, you know, the things that we do, how good they are, how important they are, how interesting they are, and people are willing to spend the time doing that. That's not too much to ask. And again, as I'm saying, there was no problem, I'm sure, of people joining this effort. The same is true in other duties. I mean, well, in my case, you're right. I mean, as a chairman of the institute, I have to devote a lot of time into that, and my own scientific work for sure suffered. I had to, well, I did cut my lab from about 10 students that I had. We have now 5 students, well, 6. So my lab is smaller because of that. And the same is true for other department chairmen. Obviously, they have to devote more time, and their work suffers a little bit for the time that they are in this role. But you know, if you think it's important, if you think that what you are doing has significance, and you are willing, you know, to share it with other things that you are doing, that you know, c'est la vie.
Well, I think I think you're clearly on the cutting edge, not only on your individual science, but in my work, which is understanding partly how institutions and networking work, that you're really in the forefront. And I thank you for the interview, and I thank you for your innovations in science and in institution.
Well, thank you, Howard, and I hope you're going to enjoy really your stay and the talk with the people. With
I look forward to it. I really do.
Thank you.